the green light is on. So here we go. Good evening. This is the February 28th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. First up, we have an extension, appeal number 2018-005 on Pondview Road. Folks are asking for an extension to, let me see. They're looking for an extension till March 8th of 2020. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, take it away, the other young lady.
Okay, appeal number 2019-001, Robert and Kathleen Glass, 120 Louise Court, Riverhead. Tax map number 617-1, 8.3, RA40 zoning for variances and a relief from chapter 301, section 9A1A, where the proposed pool, trellis, and cabana are located in the front yard, which is not permitted.
All right, who's gonna be up there talking about things?
So I'm Viola.
Well, you gotta get sworn in first.
Yeah.
Do we need to swear all of you in?
Anybody who's gonna test?
Anybody who's gonna talk,
Okay, that's all of us.
stand up and let's go.
Okay,
You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
I do.
State your name, starting with you, and go right down the road.
Viola Ruvani.
Damon Hamilton.
Dr. Ron Abrams.
All right, how about your addresses? Let's get that.
121 Hills Station Road, Southampton, New York, 11968.
86 Springy Banks Road, East Hampton, New York, 11937.
40 Hitching Post Lane, Glen Cove, New York, 11542.
Okay, and that's all got here too. Yeah. Okay, please
Okay.
sit down.
All right.
So let's go, whoever has the floor, go get him.
Okay,
What do you
so
need?
I'm Viola, and I'm going to hand it over to my associate Damon Hamilton.
So we're asking for relief to put the swimming pool and small cabana structure in the front yard. There was some misconceptions based on some neighbors that stopped by asking about the size of the structure. So when you look at the plan and the,
I'll be your
Thank
fan
you.
wife.
there's a pool, a small deck area around the pool, and then a very tiny cabana structure that has Violet, could you set that up there? A toilet and a little tiny kitchenette outside of it. That structure is 5'4" by 15'10". And then the pool deck itself is about 900 square feet with a very small pool that's 23 by 12. So it's a small structure with a small pool. So we just kind of wanted to make that clear that when you look on the site plan, it could be perceived that this is a much larger structure. The roof structure that goes over that is at 9 feet. This is not a 2-story structure, it's a small structure. Our client is interested in maintaining much of the natural heritage vegetation on the site. And as such, the design was to bring the main house as close to the view as possible, rather than clear cutting the property to bring the view to the house. So we sited the house up at the bluff, and that by doing so, we pushed the pool back further into the property. It was the desire of the client to experience as much of the total property as possible. So for site planning purposes, we created the distance between the pool. If the pool sat between the house and the bluff, then additionally there would be shadow from the house cast onto the pool. As currently located on the site plan, well, if you
Back to the site plan.
as you'll see, there's plenty of space for us to create landscaping to help screen the pool and the pool structure from the neighbors so that they don't experience that from their properties. And as Viola will point out there, the red line that goes around the property, that is the principal setback with the 40 foot in the front yard, which is where the main house could alternatively be sited, which would be much larger obstruction of view for the neighborhood. So our thought here is that we were moving the de minimis structure closer to where it would be experienced by the neighbors, and the larger structure further away. While trying to maintain as much of the heritage vegetation on the site as possible.
Okay.
Not just to satisfy the town, but also by the desire of our client.
Why so far from the house, the pool? Like, why?
Our client chose this site particularly because of the natural vegetation and the landscape, and they want to be able to experience that entire vegetation and on their site. So they like the idea of strolling through the landscape, creating these paths from one building to the next, and being able to experience all of it from the bluff all the way back to the other property.
And additionally, the client also owns the property just on the other side of that pool. And the idea is to.
Which side of the pool?
114 Louise Court.
And the goal is to one day make a residence here as well and have this pool act as a shared amenity to both.
So your client owns that piece, that parcel right there?
Yes.
Is there a house or anything on there now?
No,
There's
it's
a vacant.
currently vacant.
Okay,
Wow,
all right.
interesting.
God bless America. Okay. You have anything to say there, young fella?
Yeah, when Mr. Glass first looked at the property, before he signed all his contracts and got going with the architecture, he asked me to do a study of the entire property, the bluff, coastal erosion, the trees, and we all noticed the extensive clearing to the northwest, and he wanted to know about that. And I told him, I'm not sure how it happened, but you can be sure it won't happen again. So don't count on that. Look to use your property with as many of the healthy trees as there can be. We did some cleanup on the property where we took out scrub and brush and just 3-foot wide pathways so that the designers could figure out where things should go. And Mr. Glass was fully aware of the limitations and the character of the property before he even started his site planning.
Okay. All right, we don't have a full board here tonight, so we're not making any decisions tonight. We appreciate your showing up and giving us your testimony, but let's hear from one of the neighbors. You have anything to say? You can go right up to the. Please state your name. Well, wait a minute. Gotta swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and your address.
Matthew Sforza, 111 Louise Court, Riverhead, New York.
Okay, Matthew.
In addition to, I guess, my opposition to where the location of the structures are going to be, 4 of my neighbors also on Louise Court have submitted emails for the record. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here.
We have them, and they are in the
Yeah.
record.
You know, I understand what Mr. Glass is trying to do with the property. We don't have any, problem with it, that it's not located behind the house. We're not telling him to put it behind his house. Essentially, what we're asking for is 41 feet from that back property line. To us, seems like it's a little bit too close to, it's a front yard. He bought it knowing that it's a front yard. He knew the limitations. And like we're saying, we're not opposed to the structures. We're just asking to move it back. Because in addition, where it is, and like I said, I just want to state, we're not saying put it in the backyard, we don't want to block your view of the sound, but we don't want it 41 feet from the property line. And the other problems that we have is that Lot 1, which is on Waterview Court, and the lot that's next to me on Louise Court, those are also the front properties. So my backyard abuts those front properties. Now, the Louise Court property had they did a variance for a garage, and they were, I believe, 250 feet from the, my property line. So like I said, we don't have a problem with the structures, we just would like the 41 feet to be moved back. And there's no guarantee. I understand he owns the property in front of him. The builder that he bought it from had cleared it, but there's no guarantee that he doesn't get the variance and then sell the property. there's-
One thing I'd like to add is I was kind of following your logic there about the location being so 41 feet away from the property line, but then the gentleman, you know, brought up the fact that this applicant owns the property that it's 41 feet from, so for all intents and purposes, it's 41 plus another 259 feet from the cul-de-sac, so it's almost 300 feet from the cul-de-sac.
Right, but that, where they're putting it is the front property of, you know, that, of 120 Louise Court. So my backyard, you know, is,
What,
It'll be
I
41
have
feet from
like a
that.
satellite thing here, can you just check off where your house is, sir, if you don't mind? If you can, I know the ink stops you. Oh, okay. He's over here. So, this is their house, and this is their property too. He's over here.
I have, some aerials that are, might be a little,
That would help, yeah.
I believe Mr. Suarez's property is, sorry, this one, but you should have him confirm.
This is the pool. This is his property.
And- Yeah.
I don't see it.
you know, and the concern is if, you know, a variance is granted for this property, that the other lots too could also be that close, you know, from the rear, you know,
Over here.
or their front property.
These people own this also.
Okay. All right, well, like I said, I would like to wait till the full board gets here. We'll have them in the next meeting. So unless somebody else has something else to add on to what you've already been spoken to tonight, we're gonna adjourn this to the next meeting.
Excuse me, will you be closing the hearing, or will you be?
Oh, no. Wide open.
So we should return for the next.
Yes.
I would suggest that would be a
If
good move.
maybe more neighbors will show up and you might
Okay.
wanna answer any questions that they
Great.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, we're not closing the meeting. It's still open. We're just adjourning it to the next meeting. Okay?
Understood.
All right. Anyone else have any questions before we make the adjournment?
I would actually just like to know, is there any reason why he can't move it back a little bit more than the 41 feet? Yeah, that's a huge distance between his house and
I
where
think
he's.
that's something that we would go back and speak to him about. I don't know what that number would be, but as of right, I think just something about the logic too, and I think it's, thank you, it's, you know, we're very appreciative that you aren't contesting sort of it being in front or the back. But conceivably, somebody could build a 4,000 square foot house at that 41-foot line, because that is the principal front yard setback line.
Well, I'm not sure what the town code is on how far, you know, the house has to be back from that line.
That
But I
is
thought
the
it was more
line.
than 41 feet.
That is the line, 40 feet back is the front yard setback.
But it's still a front yard,
It is still.
It is still a front.
and they're putting a pool in the front yard. And like I said, I don't think we're being unreasonable asking to move the structures back.
Do you have a number in mind of how far, so that we could have
Well,
a discussion with
I
our
know that the board had approved on the 34 Waterview Court, it's about 250 feet, I'm not sure. You would have to look at that.
All right, here's a suggestion for the two of you.
Yeah.
You representing the local neighbors and you folks, why don't you exchange phone numbers outside as soon as the meeting is over? And why don't we have some discussion between the two parties, or the many parties, and see if we can work something out before the next meeting. And let's work it out that way, instead of coming in here and objections and this, that, and the other thing, so,
That's absolutely fine with me.
okay, good, let's do that.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, anyone else say anything else? Let's have a motion.
I move that appeal number 19-001 be adjourned to the next meeting of March 14th, 2018.
Second.
Do I hear a motion, do I hear all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. No, we have, can we do the extension?
Did the extension, we did the minute.
The minutes. Always the minutes. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
So do I. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
The adjournment is enforced. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.